Right. So, again, hello everyone. This is the third LASWG meeting. It's been 2 weeks since we officially started this working group. And for this reason, I think it's now time to actually commit to one specific topic and just run with it, see what we make out of those. In the last week, we had a bunch of these topics, but again, the ones that were actually converted into PRs were agent metadata, in the sense of standardizing which metadata should be shared by all agents. So not Robert's general work metadata PR, but more of a restricted version. We had the UTF AI, so basically a language for I think it was for AI content, right, Jashin?
Yes. I think essentially like we should be having different encodings, like for AI language and for human language.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then there was the robots.txt for LLMs, which we called LLMs.txt, and finally the uh, agent IDs. Those were the four main ones. Now, Alan, go ahead.
Sorry, just one thing. There is already something else called LLMs.txt, so
Yeah,
we definitely
I
can
should
use that
clarify.
noise.
LLMs.txt in the sense of permission management. Yeah. We also need to avoid giving the same name. Do we go with agents.txt? I think it was. In any case, and so as now, I would prefer today to be more people so that we had more consensus on that. But uh, at least for now, it's better to just pick something and stick with it and just go standardizing rather than spend more time. So in light of that, Alan, in the group chat, you mentioned that in your opinion, agent IDs and UTF-AI would probably be too big of projects to undertake, right, as first projects, right? I sort of concur with this because again, for UTF-AI, I think it's actually a pretty good thing, but it will definitely need some very long-term standardization work on that. And for agent IDs, technically, there's already the W3C web agents community group working on that. And B, since Alan wrote IDs for AI systems, I trust his word on that. And so that will leave us with only the again, any objections to just focusing then on agents.txt or agent metadata? In the context for Jashin, one thing we might do, like, do you want to explain maybe a bit more UTF-AI?
Yeah, of course. I think the major motivation of that project is like we see like there will be more. I mean, we have already seen all this like AI generated content. In the future, we'll see more like agent communication and all those like content will like be flooding into our whole like cyber ecosystem. And essentially, it should be part of your like part of like agents' identity that like they speak different languages while human can still understand them, so they should look the same as like human languages. But at the computer level, like they should have different set of encoding or have some identifier that people can easily tell that these are AI generated language if they have a tool or something. So we probably don't necessarily need a special set of like Unicode, but like some way that will essentially distinguish AI generated language from human generated language. But in the meantime, we can provide like a set of tools that will convert like AI generated language into this our like UTF AI. We can also like maybe help to push some policy that like okay for all the AI generated language we should not be allowing them to use any like human language encoding and maybe have a stronger law enforcement. I think there's just like a lot of space to like make this like whole ecosystem better.
So you basically will want to do some provenance system for agent, because in that case, uh, are you familiar with the C2PA, content provenance? I can never remember the acronym, the
No.
Content Provenance Alliance, because in that case it's probably something closer to what they're doing. Let me just share
Okay.
it in the chat. Oh, hey, bro. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, I guess I'd be particularly interested, Jessian, in what you think about the relative advantages and disadvantages of this. So I guess in my head, I'm like, okay, you know, maybe it's like the difference between a converter for all sort of so you have a piece of text, I guess, and like what C2PA is just like adding metadata to that text. So I'm wondering, like, do you think that's like significantly better or worse than like doing the converting thing you said to, a separate UTF font or separate UTF encoding?
Uh, that um. Well, yeah, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. To me, like the major, I mean, there's been a lot of work. I mean, I started to think about this like from watermarking. There's been a lot of work on like creating watermarks for LM generated content, which is like not really working well because like right in the end you want LM to you want to keep the meaning um of the generated tag. So in the end, it's just like making some like simple manipulations of the words, right? And so I started to think about like why not just like having some special identifier at like the encoding level. So if you consider like if you think about like all the motivation for LM watermarking, and it should follow a similar motivation for like a unique identifier or Unicode like another encoding set for AI generated text. It's just like from my perspective, it's like a way better solution, and it comes with like a easier law enforcement. Right in the future, like we'll see. I mean, it's just like the beginning of a new era, and I think in the future we should be having something like that. And maybe it's, I mean, I totally agree that it's going to take a lot of like efforts. But this is quite distinguished from many other things. Like there's a lot of other things like many other working groups are working on. Or at least we should start thinking about like, okay, what's the MVP for this kind of like new set of encoding, and how can we push this like into a new like industry standard, and how can we incorporate law enforcement and yeah,
Mm.
all this kind of like questions.
I mean, I second
Yeah,
like Alan's doubts about whether it should be treated as metadata or as an encoding in that sense,
Hmm.
because
Yeah, I mean, I do think that watermarks target a different threat model or use case because watermarks are not meant to be removed, or they're meant to be difficult to remove, without destroying the quality of the text or image or whatever. Whereas like both metadata and the sort of encoding thing can be very easily removed. Like if you have the translator, somebody can reverse engineer it and just like translate it back to the human UTF, right? So like
Hmm.
on the threat model use case perspective, I don't think there's that much of a gain as if we move from metadata to encoding. So then the question is
Hmm.
like feasibility or adoption. And I just think like given that there's stuff like C2PA, it just seems more plausible that people are going to adopt metadata type stuff than UTF. But I'd be open like if you have like another argument for why UTF encoding might be like more difficult to remove or something than metadata, then yeah, I'd be open to that.
Mm, yeah, like I mean the issue is like metadata does not like, I mean if you copy paste something on your computer into, let's say, in a forum, like the metadata from the agent, like this kind of information will be lost, right? So the goal is like for any kind of like information we see on the internet, ideally there should be like separate encoding for the part written by human and the part written by agent. And of course, like you can have some like humanizer or some converters that easily do that. But if you think about like a real example, right, in a lot of research articles, and people will include um, like some like shitty ChatGPT generated like prefix of like some paragraphs, right? It's just like people are not really changing that a lot. If we can really enforce that from all the like most of the open source model and some like this like API based models, and like we should even some people will use that converter. We should still be able to protect like our information ecosystem a bit more. And if we can come with like law enforcement, and yeah, it will be the new standard and comes with a lot of gains. So like the metadata is good, but I'm not sure how you can really enforce that for all the content, especially they're like copy pasted or they have been like modified and shared in other contexts. Yeah.
I mean, one thing that should be worth noting is that even if we develop new standards, that will basically break speech-to-text systems and other parsing systems that actually, like, basically using a separate encoding would basically require adapting all of those tools to actually be able to read that encoding, which is non-trivial in that
Mhm.
sense. In any case,
Yeah.
moving on with just the list of topics. So the other two were the uh, okay, we've set aside the agent IDs. The other two were agent metadata, in the sense of which sets of agent of metadata shared by agents should be common among all agents, and if we can have some simple system to share that metadata. I'm thinking again, name, description, who made it, not nothing fancy in terms of IDs and stuff like that, just regular metadata. And the other one was again permission management slash agents.txt, etc. Now, I I propose agents.txt, so I cannot really. I feel like it would be unfair for me to argue for that. So I will argue for instead, for instance, metadata. I think that would be a very simple topic that also is feasible enough to do in a short period of time. And anybody has strong takes on their favorite uh, in terms of feasibility and in terms of how impactful it will be.
I guess one thing I'd like to understand better is what success looks like
Hmm.
for a metadata protocol. Because I guess it's very easy just to list things that we would like an agent to
Hmm.
show. But does anybody have a sense of what would be most in demand across different, say, websites or whatever? And if and I guess the thing might just be like look for the things that are in demand and then write
Hmm.
that down.
That's fair. Yeah, we will definitely need to do some lots and lots of chats with that, especially with Asian developers. Nuno, you and you're part of and Gohao as well. You guys are both from Asian companies. When you are interacting with, oh yeah, like uh, agents.json is that will definitely be a point of inspiration for this. In fact, the creator of agent.json is part of this working group. And would what are the typical metadata you want out of an agent, or that websites, for instance, want out of your agents?
I think it really depends on what you're trying to do with the agent. Are you trying to make it available for other agents to call, for
Hmm.
humans to call? Are you trying to call it as kind
Hmm.
of a dumb tool, just returns a value and you don't know what's going on under the hood? Are
Hmm.
you trying to actually call it as an agent where you can maybe interrupt it or stream values or
Hmm.
do other more richer interactions? I think it really depends.
Yeah, fair enough. Go how?
Yeah, I guess in some of our scenario, we find there are many, like for example, if you are working on scripting a web assistant, the agent, I guess there are already some initiatives trying to figure out that. So for example, the same website will be turned to Markdown for agent to read like multiple times for so many different agents, and that's like just consumes so many tokens. if everyone can follow the standard when they build a website, also provide a markdown for agent to read, something like that. Also, similarly for agent-agent communication as well. Can you provide like a friendly description like markdown to describe ability your agent have and thing, and the available tools and thing when they talk to each other. Yeah.
So like
Those
capabilities
are,
in that sense.
yeah, like ability to and data available and basically what kind of service agent can provide to others. Yeah, this is maybe yeah, if in the future every software will be an agent, then this is very important. But at the moment, I guess everyone is like using agent to like get data from internet, scraping the internet, and this is the most pressing issues. For example, like the same website will be consumed by so many agents, and yeah, everyone use like everyone try to turn this website into a markdown, right? But essentially, this markdown, I mean, the process of turning a website HTML to markdown is done by so many different agents, but essentially they want to have the same markdown. Yeah, so how can we handle this challenge? I guess people propose this LMTSD and thing.
Got it.
Like
so
that.
you'll be more in favor of LMs.txt, agents.txt, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah, at least like I mean, once the agent they connect to each other, I mean, how do they know what get information from the others? How to know like others' ability? This is very important. Of course, other things also very important about like identity verification, registration, this kind of thing is also very important as well. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So again, we work by rough consensus. Among let's go thumbs up, thumbs down on all the various proposals. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I add one more thing? So recently, we are working on the Camel framework. Basically, it's a multi-agent framework, and we integrate like MCP. We support like now basically every our framework, our agents can call any MCP servers, and we can also export any component in our framework as an MCP server for other MCP client to use. So I think this is a very good practice for framework. So I mean, now there are so many framework, but framework built by each other cannot talk. But if they follow like a protocol like MCP or maybe other protocol, so so in terms of this like server client architecture, we can do that. But if for agent communication, for P2P communication, what should be the standard and what's the best practice to do that? I don't know. Maybe you guys have a better idea.
Okay, so you're saying peer-to-peer agent protocols as well. Okay, which can make sense.
Yeah.
Although that I would say that is probably needs to be a bit since it's a bit bigger. I wouldn't start with it necessarily. So let's do around each one. Which ones do you think are the best combination of relevant, feasible, practical, available in short times? For me, I'm gonna say agents.txt, shortly followed by agent metadata for instance, for capabilities, etc. Nuno, you wanna go?
So what would be inside this agents.txt, sorry?
The agent, again, we will need to clarify that a bit, but in general, what an agent can do in when it accesses a website, and the relevant information, like how to interact with a website and the information that the website offers in a more LLM readable format, essentially.
Yeah, but isn't that covered by LLMs.txt already?
Yes, with the major difference that it will also manage permissions, so you're allowed to do X, Y, and Z, and that is now not covered. And the interactions with elements, so like in the sense of, hey, if I'm a website that doesn't just offer information but also allows you to I don't know, book a service or book a flight or something like that, here's what you want to do, here's how you want to communicate with that. And obviously we will coordinate with lms.txt, with the creator of lm.txt for this one. What's your take?
Okay, I think I'd have to see more details to be able to give an opinion on that. Because, for instance, permissions for a public website makes very little sense to me. Like, if a website is public, obviously anyone's allowed to do anything. That's kind of the definition of the web, right? So I
Yeah.
don't know what permission we'd be covering there.
Also, to keep in mind that there's already an existing framework for permissions in websites, and that's robots.txt. If you think about it, obviously people can choose to ignore it,
Yeah.
but that's a separate matter. Alan?
I guess I would agree with your rating. One higher level question though, like I wonder if is voting the right way to go about this? Because I imagine the most effective thing is like for there to be an owner of the eventual project, that we end up doing. And like the expectation is that sort of everybody or a lot of people in the standards group sort of helps,
Yeah,
the
but that
project
would be,
come
yes. So
along.
there should be one person. You say that just
Yeah, and I guess someone like, is there a person right now that will be an owner for, each of these choices that we're making?
for agents.txt and the metadata, I'm fine with being the owner, like being the guy you can blame if things go wrong. If that's okay with you. If instead you want to
Cool.
propose yourself as the owner, etc.
Oh no, that's totally fine. Just that there's an owner is
Yeah,
good. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I would agree with
I'm fine with being an owner of either lms.txt or agent metadata.
cool.
And Emma, if you have strong opinions, sorry, you joined very recently this working group, so you might not yet. Oh,
No, I have
no strong opinions. We'll take
no
that.
strong opinion. Yeah. I trust you. I fully trust you. Yeah.
Fair enough. Jashin, again, as you see, in general, it seems that what can I say, the UTF-AI system needs to be at least a bit more structured and thought through before we can use it as a starting point. What would you say are the ones you're more interested in, like the ones that you think would be more relevant?
Oh yeah, I agree. The agent.txt will be super interesting. So I'm fine with like working on that. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
and
just like proposing that so we can maybe think about like UTF AI like along the way. In case anyone has any new thoughts or we see some like new opportunities coming up, we can like seriously start like working on that. But like before that, I think I agree that we should focus on something like easier to start and with a dedicated scope.
Got it. And in the meantime, we can figure out how to best manage this provenance aspect, etc.
Yeah, sounds
Guohao,
good.
Maybe I missed part of the content.
so like the main question is, what's your favorite project, your favorite topic in terms of feasibility, effectiveness, practicalness, etc. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And if you also have a second choice or something.
So about, I guess they are discussing the metadata, the agent ID and the agent TST and
Yeah.
the UTF, right? So for the, can you describe a little bit more about the agent TST?
So the agent TXT will basically handle what a website can do. So what an agent can do when interacting with a website, and how it can do it. So hey, you want to book you wanna, again, this will still need to be figured out in part, but hey, you wanna book a flight, here's where you should go. Hey, if you are an agent, you cannot access, you can use this page in this specific manner, etc. So it's a mix of robots.txt and also LLMs.txt, essentially.
Mm. Mm.
And obviously we will coordinate with both the ITF group on robots.txt and the element group, the element.txt creators. Because again, we can also just make LLMs.txt the standard if that's the case, and we close it.
I see. So basically, it's like so it's like describing like what you can do if so you assume the agent is the scenario will be like you public the agent, you make it public, right? Or
You mean for agents.txt or for the metadata?
agent.txt.
For agent.txt, it can just be a simple web agent interacting with a website, so it doesn't need to be pub. So the website has agents.txt, and the agents can read that.
I see. It's the agent TST will be on the website, but
Yes,
it's
yes, yes.
for the
Yes.
agent to read. So the agent not necessarily to be public, but the website is public. But you described what your agent can do with the website.
Yes, yes, yes.
I see. Interesting. So we do have like some scenario that this can be very helpful. So yeah, probably you know like browser use and miners and describe like agents, right? The agent can maybe navigate on your website. I'm not quite sure if this is in the scope of the agent TST.
So can you repeat what that would be in scope or not in scope?
Yeah, so there's some scenario like your agent go to a website and want to navigate in the website, but sometimes it's very difficult to go on the action. So what I'm saying, you can click what kind of element you can click. Of course, you can get it from the HTML or the DOM.
Okay, yeah.
But sometimes some element is not. It's difficult. You cannot get it, and sometimes so we use like set of mark to localize the icons and buttons that you have. Let me maybe show you if I can find it.
So for context, for why you're opening for Jesse, we basically discussing which ones among agent.txt, agent metadata in the strict sense of the word, UTF-AI and agent IDs. We should take which ones are our favorites in terms of feasibility, practical usefulness, etc. Right now, the most popular one seems to be agents.txt. Yeah, no worries, no. And so basically just going around asking for everyone's opinion, since there's not too many of us today.
Thanks for the context. Didn't we already say we had a process for deciding this, which was to list out the topics in a repo and then vote,
but the problem is that people didn't much interact with that, unfortunately, in the sense that it didn't seem to be like I tried pushing it, but it didn't seem to be much effective.
Understood.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, maybe I will describe like this scenario. Maybe it's a very practical limitation, and then people want to solve. So we are doing like a project that have an agent can want to operate or navigate your website, right? For example, this is a YC website. and the task is to go to the YC website and list all the like company in this W25 B2B pack. But you can see here, so there is a technique called self-mark to navigate to visual language model agent understand the screen and perform action. There's some limitation. For example, this one, there are many like overlaps, so the agent cannot actually localize the button that's needed for the task. So and this is done repeatedly for every agents on like for the website. So
Okay, so
just like
you want a ground, like you want some way for agents to be able to more easily interact with the
yeah
website. I think that would probably be covered by yes, by what we're doing, because again, in terms of permission management, there's some work by the IETF group. In terms of just content parsing, lms.txt kind of covers that, so we could use that as a base. Right now, what's missing in the landscape is a bit, yes, like how to explain to an agent how to interact with the website.
That's amazing. That's amazing. For example, for this one, but if the website builder or if they follow a protocol or something, if they can localize those mark like better in a better way, that they don't overlap, and or even they can like when they build a website they
set them
can
apart.
yeah. If this can be like in the metadata of the website, that will help a lot for the agent navigating website. So yeah, I think if this so this is just like an example. What kind of thing could be important when you want to define maybe the action space or the observation for the agent when they are navigating the website. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So would you put this above, for instance, agent metadata, or below in terms of priority?
I'm not quite sure how to, I mean, categorize maybe your agent metadata or the agent TST you're talking about. But basically, it's we want something to describe.
Yeah. I mean, treating these as part of agents.txt, would you consider it more important? Would you put it above the priority list compared to, again, agent metadata or UATF AI, etc., or below? Like, would you consider it the top priority?
So I think this will be part of the like agent TST or the
I'm speaking in general.
metadata. Yeah.
Okay. I will treat this as part of agents.txt, because the
Okay.
metadata part is more about, again, it will be more restricted in that sense.
Yeah. I think this is a very practical and important challenge that we want to solve. And if this can be like available in agent TST when our agent interact with the website and we know how, I mean, what's the action space, what's the observation, then yeah, that would be amazing.
Okay, got it. Excellent. So Jesse, we also have some opinion. Again, sorry for not giving you the full context again. Basically, just trying to figure out which ones to go with, and the keeping in mind, I've said before that if we do agents.txt, we will still coordinate with the IETF group and with the creators of lm.txt. And if we do agent metadata or something else, we will also coordinate with the various people involved. In light of that, are there, like, what's your favorite in a sense?
Yeah, I think the agent TST will be great. I also face my issues.
Fair. Jesse?
To raise a point you noted last week, you require the browser implementers, or, well, not browser implementers, but you require websites to conform to this specification that you developed, which requires browser implementers and browser specification developers
Not
to have some level of alignment.
Yeah, I guess you will need that, but honestly, not to a certain. You talk about agents.txt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. For the grounding, it depends because it could just be something as, hey, you wanna click on a website on the booking page. Here's the ID of the HTML with the system. That's You can basically do that as a web agent, regardless, without browser support in that sense, right?
True. I'm just Googling to see if there's any standards body actually in charge of robots.txt out of interest.
hmm
But I can't
Yeah,
see one.
I mean, I think it's part of the ITF. I think.
Yeah, by ETF authors. Okay.
Yep. IFC 9309.
The metadata still seems slightly more scoped to me, so I have a slight preference towards that one, but not a strong preference given the lack of other people needed to rally robots, agents.txt.
Got it. Okay, so we have consensus. Shall we go again in light of what everyone has said? Shall we go with agents.txt, keeping agent metadata as a close second? So for now, we do agents.txt with me as the person to blame in case things go wrong. Okay, I see slight nods up and down, and I see some thumbs up. Okay, yeah. For the future topics, we probably need to either force people to actually engage with the GitHub thumbs up, thumbs down system, or try to figure out something that's a bit more user friendly in that sense. Again, today I wanted to prioritize picking a topic over going for broadest consensus in that sense. We'll work on improving that in the future. So, in terms of what are the next steps, I will reach out to the to the create to the creator of to the ITF working group on agent permissions and the LMs.txt guys. If you also know specific people that are working on this area, so this can be either engineers or it can be researchers or just people that work on stuff related to again, to grounding agents and providing readable information for agents. So pretty much anything that involves web agents in that sense. Feel free to also either mention them to me, you can DM me, or you can just talk to them directly. And I will make a more formal document with all the with exactly what will be in scope and what won't be, and we can all discuss about it, etc. But right now, I'd say the priority is just to get stuff done in that sense. Okay, and oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just a small comment. So, I mean, I'm not quite sure if we should call it agent TSD because,
Yeah.
like robot TSD, because everything you can handle in test, but for now, like many agent are multimodality agents, so you cannot describe everything in TSD. Yeah, so don't know.
Yeah, we will also we could also figure out a better name for that. For now, let's
Okay.
call it agent.txt working title, and we can figure out the rest. And miscellaneous news, again, as you can see, we're using a different recording system. We're using Scribble. I didn't go with Fireflies, mostly because with Fireflies you have to pay to download the transcripts, and with Scribble that's for free. And I was a cheapstake in that sense. And yeah, so we probably I say that it has probably worked well to do meetings in a Google Meet regardless, compared to doing them on Discord. So I think we can also schedule the next ones on Google Meet. And yeah, Anything else we forgot? In the meantime, I'm going to let my cat out. Okay. Maybe another step is Samuele start a Google Doc with a proposal, and then we all provide input on what precisely to do /add to elements.txt. That sounds like a great thing, and I will do it immediately after this call. Okay, I think we're done here. Thanks again, and yeah, I see you all tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow. Next week on Wednesday. And again, there has been the time zone change, so now it's 5 p.m. Europe time, 4 p.m. UK time, 11 a.m. East Coast time, 8 a.m. West Coast time. See you all.
Okay, so guys.
See ya.